Hello, everybody, and good morning. Happy Sunday. I'm Charlotte McGinnis, and as always, thank you for taking the time to join me live or at your convenience. Always want to remind you, if you feel inspired to do so, I would really appreciate if you pass this along, and that's about that. So again, thanks for being here. It is beautiful here. We're starting to see the beautiful spring weather come forth, and can't wait to see more color every day, and love this time of year. Not to mention the extra hour that we get of sunshine. I love that too. Good time of year. So I just want to remind you that the prayer ministry is here to serve you. So if you have any requests that you'd like to put out to us, I'd be happy to pass those along to our warriors. There are almost 100, which is pretty amazing, and they've been devoted to supporting the prayers received for probably 7-8 years now, which is a wonderful thing, and I want to thank them and thank you all for joining as well. So today, by the way, to submit a prayer request, go to my website, charlottemcginnis.com, and it's all there. So all you have to do is push the button, submit the request, and we will get it moving. And good morning and happy Sunday to Annie, and glad you're here. And today we're going to talk about the real path to success, the secret to success. And, it's so important, I think, to be reminded of these truths and what real success is and what it isn't. So we're going to talk about that today. Because as we know, and as most of us are experiencing, it's pretty challenging being a human or spiritual being, having a human experience on planet Earth today. There's definitely many, many challenges on all levels, and the good news is that we have a choice of how we move through this life experience, and we're going to talk about that. Usually, every week, my conversations are offered to inspire ways to navigate through the challenges of life with, or I would call it the illusion, the dream of madness, and overcome the madness and the fear with strength, grace, and peace. And so we all have that option, and it's up to us how we show up each and every moment in life. So here we are. Mary Beth, good morning down in Dunedin. Can't wait to see you in a little bit. Glad we're pulling that together. And Dawn, happy to see you today. It's a great day. So here we are. Life on planet Earth is anything but easy, okay? We got that. So Ellen and I had a friend over last night for dinner, and we were conversing about just everything in the world. And good morning, Miss Seal. Good to see you. We were conversing, about the challenges that we were talking more about kids. And when I say kids, yes, I mean the little ones, but we're talking about kids in their 40s, just young people younger than us, and how difficult it is for them to navigate the challenges that continue to present themselves, be presented to them each and every day. I mean, the world is just so fragile, and there's so much fear and anxiety that's just, right boiling up at the surface, and people are feeling it, and they're reacting, and not reacting maybe in the most kind, loving, and positive ways. And, with all this fear and worry and stress that these youngsters are experiencing, and then they're not really even in a position to have the American dream, haven't been for years now, meaning not being able to buy a house. That used to be everyone's dream, right? That is a dream far beyond the imaginings of so many of our youth. Just having security and stability, some sense of normalcy in their life. Everyone's just sort of shaking, waiting for the next shoe to drop, right? Well, the good news is there is a way, and it's not pills, and it's not substances to help you go through the situation, but rather an inside job, an inner journey. And so we were talking, and I'd shared, and I really feel strongly about this. And I feel that we've lost our way. And, you know, it's never been easy. Every generation has had their challenges. There's no doubt about that. But I think somewhere along the line, and some people listening may or may not agree, but this is where I really see the line where things really shook up a little bit years ago when prayer was taken out of schools. And I'm not talking about Christian prayer, and I'm not talking about religious even I'm not even talking about a religious aspect of prayer. But I remember every morning when I would show up for homeroom, the first thing we'd do is we'd stand up, put our hand over our heart, and pledge allegiance to the flag. And the principal over the intercom would say, take a moment of silent prayer and meditation. And to me, that was, and it was not, you know, to Jesus or to Buddha or Krishna. It was just whatever. Take a moment to be silent and reflect. And I feel like that what that enabled the kids to do and us is to get centered, to set the intention for the day, you know, because, you know, just the idea of getting up early, you're groggy, you know, you run out the door, you don't really want to go to school, and you're there. So here's your opportunity to reset and move on from that point. And I really feel since that's been taken out of the schools that's not been a good thing. And, you know, kids do spend a lot of time in school. So I think that that's where a lot of our beliefs are nurtured, and we're nurtured in so many ways or not in school. And we really need to go back to more practical means in our school system. That's one reason. I think that for me, we're looking for love or looking for meaning or sustenance in all the wrong places. We think that external identity is meaningful, that if only I accomplish this, if only I'm successful at that, if only I look like this. And that's another thing. I'm in wonder and awe of how people treat their bodies, in the sense that with the, well, I don't mean to go down that. Mary Beth, thanks for agreeing, but I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole. But it's like these teenagers look like they're 40 now, and they're having surgeries younger, and it's amazing. And why do you do that in the first place? I'm all for, you know, if you want a little tweak here and there, and if it's gonna make you feel better, I get it. But I think that at a deeper level, there is such a self hatred that, oh, if I do this, if I have this surgery, my boobs are a little bigger, my face is a little tighter, I'm going to be more popular and more loved. Well, not true. If you don't love yourself in the first place, that's not going to necessarily change the situation. And, you know, I'm not anti any of it. I think, you know, sometimes it can be a beautiful, helpful thing. So I'm not here to bash on that, but I think it's an easy fix. Just like how many kids now are, you know, it's not, Adderall is like M&Ms, you know, here, take some Adderall, antidepressants. Now kids are even doing, I've read that they're doing Ozempic, for crying out loud. You know, God forbid you tell kids to eat healthy. No, just keep eating the Twinkies and take some Ozempic and you'll be fine. So I think that we've lost our way. And the good news is there is a way home. And what, you know, what do we do? Well, I read this statement today. It says material success may result in the accumulation of possessions, but only spiritual success will enable you to enjoy them. And I think that's so true. If we don't have that spiritual foundation, and for some reason that's been, the value of that has been lost. And I have my own thoughts about that, and I'm going to share, there's many aspects to this, okay? Not just, and I can't get to all of them, but I'm going to share some of my thoughts on this, because if we don't have that spiritual foundation, we have nothing. I've said on a number of occasions over the years that I don't know how people navigate this crazy world without a spiritual base. Not judging them for not choosing that. I just don't know how you do it. And if you're making it through without any connection to source and love and a greater consciousness, which I call God, unity, oneness, I just don't know. I know I couldn't make it without my spiritual connections, my book group, my Course in Miracles, you guys here on Sundays, good friendship, good conversation, open-hearted, being able to listen, truly listen and support each other where they are. And so much of life is so superficial, and people are scared to go deep, right? Really scared to connect. So in the midst of all this chaos and everything that's happening, the most important thing we can do is to keep the stillness inside of us. You know, we're so reactionary right now. People are so angry. They're so divisive. They have to be right, make this person wrong. And, you know, it's like, where did your spirituality go? And I'm not saying that it's certainly fine to have opinions and align with thought systems and beliefs by all means, but not at the expense of attacking others. You know, whether we like it or not, you know, the good news and the bad news is, it's my journey and it's your journey. And really, it's all what I see reflected to me in the movie of life is my projection, my thoughts about it, my beliefs about it. Mastery, and I talk about this, and I've been talking about this as long as you've known me, that mastery is being able to watch this movie of life and just be at peace. Don't have to agree with everything. Don't have to even like it. But I'm not going to let this, whatever occurs in my life, trigger my peace. I'd say I'm way, 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 way better than I used to be. And but I have my moments too. I'm not denying that. I get caught up and then I recognize, you know, I have to vent and then I let it go. So, because I have my spiritual tools and I have good friends to talk to and hold space, and and those are things that have to be nurtured and developed and built on. To me, and the secret really is seek first the kingdom of God, and I'm going to go into that deeper in a little bit. But seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and everything else comes from that place, not the reverse. And I think that there's so many aspects of seeking first the kingdom which means that when we do that, we're naturally more loving. We're naturally less judgmental. We're naturally more generous and kind and open-hearted. And yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of people who profess to spirituality, spiritual paths that maybe aren't the most, you know, you say, well, that's why I don't go to church anymore. They're all hypocrites. Well, I'm not a big fan of church, mainly just doesn't make sense to me anymore. I'm a big fan of God and spirituality. I think that church, the one thing I love about church, and Ellen and I were just talking about this morning, is the beauty of church is it's a community of people wanting to find a better way. And it's a way to connect and a way to navigate. You learn tools to navigate through life. But really, it's not a 1 hour practice a week. It's a 24/7 job, our inner work, right? So church is a great stepping stone, and church is a great way to connect and build relationships. And I always go back to the church I grew up in West Virginia, in Huntington. It is a Methodist church. It's one of two Methodist churches in West Virginia, only two, which has chosen to be all welcoming, more open to everyone. And so they've you know, the Methodist Church, as Episcopalian Church and other churches have split recently in the recent years. And there's been one side that's been more liberal and one more conservative. And I'm happy to say that that the church I grew up in is very open and to everybody and welcoming to everybody, which is a beautiful thing. And so it's I believe that is what Jesus would do. And that's a great thing to think that, yes, I invite everyone into my home, right? It's a beautiful thing to witness, because even more so, the people that I grew up with from a youngster till today, they're older like I am, and some are even older than me. They're still very engaged and active in that, and they still have the programs and the luncheons and the Sunday service and the connection, and I think that that's a powerful thing. So, and they do a lot of service in the community, which is also, good morning, Lisa. So anyway, yeah, I always think about church, and again, well, I'll just say it. This morning, I was watching Sunday morning, one of my favorite things in the Sunday morning to do, and there was an update on the Pope and his health, and I'm glad to say he's leaving the hospital today and doing much better, and that's great. And I'm, double pneumonia, and oh my gosh, the guy, it's a miracle he's still here. Well, prayer, right? But that being said, he's better. He's coming home, leaving the hospital today. But as they're driving back to the Vatican, I'm thinking to myself, wow, where does Jesus fit in with this Vatican thing? I mean, all the pomp and circumstance and the robes and the money and the gold and the, he's got bodyguards all around him, and I'm just thinking, wow. So that it's built on the teachings of Jesus' true message. It's according to Catholics, it's the only true church. I'm not here to debate that. Maybe, maybe not. But Jesus was a man he was a friend to many, to all. He was simple. He walked, his church was where he was. He would sit and have a conversation with people. He didn't need the big brick and mortar building. Good morning. God's will be done. Yes, Donna, you're right. And so I still am confused about the Vatican. And a lot of churches, I found, I was talking to someone last week, and I had to say I agree. One of the things I love in church is the traditional music. And a lot of this modern music, to me, it's good music, don't get me wrong, but there was something inspiring about the music, the traditional hymns. And I'll tell you what it was to a large degree, is that the solfeggio scale that these hymns were written in, the musical notes, were actually positioned in the music to be transcendental, to be uplifting and inspiring. So I think that's why you can feel the power of that music. And so that's not necessarily taken into consideration so much anymore. But if you look at Handel's Messiah, all that was done in this solfeggio scale. And you feel it, right? I mean, I can listen to that, and you'd have to be dead not to be inspired by that. But I do digress. So something that's occurring, and I am watching this, and the AI situation, artificial intelligence, and that seems to be the focus. I watch a lot of the money shows that learn a little bit about the market and the financial, and listen to different people talk about that. And from a financial perspective, it seems as though all the money in the future it's already happening, is really going to be made through this technology of AI. And they say that we're going to have a wave of wealth that we've never seen before. And it's not, to me, that's not really meaningful or not meaningful. It's just interesting to see how much energy is put into this. What's more interesting to me is, and there's interest in it big time, but what is more interesting to me about this, and something we all need to pay attention to in my mind, is that with the fact that we're not spiritually grounded, not really having that inner strength, we're just willing to, let AI take care of it. We're giving away our humanity piece by piece. I mean, yes, it does wonderful things. I mean, medically, it's a wonderful. The breakthroughs in medicine are tremendous, and there's a lot of things that AI has been hugely beneficial for. But as everything can be used for the egos or holy purposes. And I think that if we're not spiritually grounded, as I said a few minutes ago, is that we can get sucked into giving our power away. And I think if there ever was anything dark, it's giving our soul. People don't really nurture their souls anymore. And if we're not nurtured and we're not standing in our power and the world is crumbling around us, you're going to sink with the ship. And then you're going to give your power, say, oh, save me, AI, or whatever it is. And the real power, the real success is that light of God, that spark, that divine light that is the essence of each and every one of us. And that's going to be our anchor and our strength. That is our anchor and our strength in every moment. So, we have to be careful. We have to recognize how easily we give our power to that which is dimming our light, making us weaker spiritually, and, tap back in, plug back in, do something today that lifts your spirit. Read a book that's positive, watch some inspirational teachers, join a book group, something where you can be uplifted and feel hopeful and empowered and not so vulnerable and afraid that you're just willing to give it all away, right? So success is liking yourself. That's a big one. A lot of people I know don't really like themselves. Liking what we do and liking how we do it. Happiness cannot be traveled to, owned, earned, or worn. It's the spiritual experience of every minute we have with love, grace, and gratitude. So, if we don't have it in here, we're never going to find it out there. So, the secret: seek first the kingdom, and everything else will come from that. Donna says, God's will be done, not my will be done. I'm so grateful with all the insanity in the world. I bless it, and I don't claim, I was listening to Denzel Washington today. He was also on Sunday morning, and he made a statement, and he says that he feels so what was it? Anyway, he said he knows I think he was asked a question, and he said, well, I know so much less than I knew when I thought I knew everything. Something to that effect. And I find that I don't know what anything is for anymore. I don't. I don't have a clue what's going on in, I barely can figure out what's going on in my own head in my own life, much less what's the conditions of the world. And it's like, all I know is like, wow, that's interesting. I don't need to fix it. I don't need to attack it. I don't need to judge it. I just need to bless it. The world doesn't need to be fixed. It needs to be forgiven. And that's it. And if I'm inspired to take action from love, I'll do it. I don't want to react. I don't want to get upset. I don't want to, people are, stressed and, mad at the world, and there's, this opinion and that opinion. And I'm like, wow, I'm glad you're so smart that you've got it figured out, because the more I know, I realize the less I know. And so it's just like watching the show. The greatest thing we can do, heal yourself. If you're reacting, it's a mirror, it's feedback, right? To show us where we still need some healing. I want to master, I don't say this arrogantly. I say it because that's what we're here to do. We're here to overcome. We're in the Easter season, right? A few weeks out. But we're here to overcome the world. We're here to be self-realized. We're here for mastery. And we're here to plant seeds of love and forgive. Donna, you said something good. As we forgive those who trespassed against us, hallelujah, and that's true. So but But ultimately, there's nothing to forgive, because as I transcend my ego, and look, guys, you know me. Those of you that know me know that I've got, there's Sue. Hey, Sue. But those of you who know me know that I'm not perfect, and I've got my issues, but I really believe in what I say here every week. And I say I'm much, 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 much better. And I'm much more aware, and I'm much more willing to take responsibility of how I view the world and how I show up for the world, and where I get triggered and what that's about, and understanding that everything out here is just my own thoughts about it. And you know, I love my friends who say, but this is different. And I'm like, whoa, really? First of all, if I'm looking for the world, okay, this is Shar talking here, but I think it's truth. If we're looking for the world to hand us on a silver platter and thinking that's success, that oh, this is the way this world has to be, and then I'll be at peace. Never going to happen. It's just not going to happen, because your vision and my vision and every person here, their idea of what the world needs to be is different. We all have different ideas, and that's a good thing, right? It's fine. We can have differences of opinion. But if I'm waiting for this to happen before I can be at peace, it's going to be a lonely, stressful path. So I'm choosing to just, in this moment, choose love, be at peace, forgive, let go, and trust the process. Know that God's will is done, and that the holiest thing I can do is to heal my own thoughts about it, because we're all one. And so if there is someone who's projecting insane behavior or a situation that's disturbing, it's a call for love, either a call from me or a call from them. How am I going to respond? Oh, okay, I'm going to respond in love if I'm choosing the more Christ-like response. So, you know, success, you know, in the past, I think has been how many, diplomas or certificates or corporations we own, or whatever it is. And those are all well and good, you know, while we're in this dream, and might as well, you know, create whatever we want to create, but seek first the kingdom of God, because that's where it all stems from, our spiritual foundation and our base. So, you know, we have to be willing to, you know, for us to tap into this power, we have to be willing to recognize how wonderful and precious we are as human beings. I mean, you know, what a blessing and a gift it is to be human and to have this experience, and to take that a little more serious, you know, and it's really about connecting to the divine within. Peace in our hearts with active compassion for our brothers and sisters. Absolutely. Seal right on. I mean, that is it. Compassion for everybody. Peace in our hearts. It's easier when we have peace in our hearts, our own hearts, to be compassionate for everybody. But as I was listening to Greg Braden yesterday, of course, he was talking about, you know, how to reclaim our true power, and that was recognize how precious we are. I'm precious, you're precious, everybody. No one's exempt. Even that person who's the worst evildoer on the planet is precious in the eyes of God, and I do believe that. We were talking in the Course in Miracles just Friday, and I've said this over the years to you guys as well. You know, understanding oneness is understanding that our awakening, the final step from hell, the illusion, to heaven, which is unity, oneness, peace, and unconditional love, is when the universe just collapses and disappears, which I would say the dream is holding our brother's hand, and no one is exempt. So, follow up with that. There's a statement in the Course in Miracles that says, a teacher of God, which we all are. Who's a teacher of God? Anyone who decides to be one. And the fact that you're here means that we've decided to do that. So a teacher of God is generous out of self-interest. And what that really says to us is, once you realize that your salvation, my awakening, your awakening, everyone's awakening is an individual job, right? But we're also part of the collective. So every time I choose love over fear, I'm lifting the vibe for the universe, which is really cool. We all do that, right? And so a teacher of God is generous out of self-interest, meaning that once you know that as long as you're holding that grievance judgment towards anything or anyone, you're not looking out for your self-interest very much, because that's a veil of darkness and judgment that we're blocking the light and love of God from entering into. And so it's heavy duty, deep work, but you can do it now or we can do it later. The other great quote is, I'll have to think of that one. It was a quote that just popped in my mind. Don't you love those little holy moments where, so anyway, so we need to be willing to recognize how precious we are, honor and love our humanness, who we are, love ourselves. The more we love ourselves, the more we nurture that. We're not so willing to give it away to, oh yeah, put this thing in my arm and I'll never have to carry a wallet or a phone again. Hello. We can do the Sunday talks. You can look at your arm every Sunday. Oh, there's Charlotte. But anyway, honor your humanness. Love yourself. Be the best version of yourself you can be. And if anybody does that I know on this planet, Greg Braden does that. He definitely aspires every moment to be the best version of himself. He does it through taking care of his physical body, good healthy choices, through really being conscious. Spirit inspired is really the word. He's very conscious and loving, and really owns his stuff, understands that he's not a victim of the world, or his past is not his story anymore. I think that's a point that we hear a lot is, nobody had a perfect childhood. Some may have glided easier than others, and that's fine and dandy and wonderful. But, one of these days, regardless how horrific, there's people who survived the Holocaust, for example, who, and I would imagine that to be one of the worst human experiences one could experience. And people were able to amazingly come out of that with forgiveness, because they knew that if they didn't, Nelson Mandela, he knew that when he walked out of that prison and the cruelty he experienced there, if he did not forgive, he was going to be destroyed by that. And it's so true. So, we've got to understand that vengeance and anger and hatred and all of these projections are not only serving nothing but feeding the illusion, the problem we're making up, but also doing great harm to ourselves, truly, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And so we're not a victim of the world. We've got to make up a new story, create a new story from this moment. That's one big secret to success, by the way. And that every choice we make in every moment creates our reality. So one of the questions that has become popularized, I would say, over the past 20, 30 years, is this decision, action, thought, moving me in the direction I want to move in? So if your goal is peace and awareness, is this thought bringing me more peace, or is it keeping me enslaved to the fear and the judgment, and keeping me stuck in a story that's no longer, all our past is gone, right? All your past except its beauty is gone, and all that remains is a blessing. And I remember the quote I just forgot. Delay is, so you can do it now, you can do it later. Delay is meaningless in eternity, but tragic in time, which means in the realm of eternity, we're in timelessness. And so, you can delay and you can play in this dream and be pissed and do whatever and woohoo, whatever you got to do, and stay stuck in this hamster wheel for as long as you want, for another million years if you want. But in the realm of eternity, we're all going to get there, but we're already there. Another story. But anyway, but tragic in time is like, why do we keep ourselves in this? Why do we keep ourselves stuck and in the dark? We don't have to be there, but we have to make choices that inspire a shift in perception and awareness. Well, Thich Nhat Hanh, he says it beautifully. The situation of the world is like this. People completely identify with one side, one ideology. To understand the suffering and the fear of a human being who thinks differently, we have to become one with him or her. To do so is dangerous. We will be suspected by both sides. I get it. Trust me, I'm suspected by both sides. People are like, what the hell does she think? Because I like everybody. Oh, how could you like everybody? But anyway, yes, so I've been suspected by both sides. But if we don't do it, if we align ourselves with one side or the other, we will lose our chance to work for peace. Reconciliation is to understand both sides. So I think that that's so powerful. We say we want peace, and it's not going to happen by taking sides. It's going to come by, I think you said it earlier, being in our heart seal, coming together with the willingness to connect and join and understand rather than condemn. And so here we are. We've got to understand. We need to become one with each other, and that's where I've really found. I go down all the rabbit holes, all of them. And I continue to shift and realign and understand where I could have been done better or been more compassionate or less harsh or whatever. But my goal is understanding and connection and transcendence of the illusion. And I want to be a kinder, more loving person. That's my goal. And to be happy and have fun and all that good stuff, right? So Deepak Chopra says there are no extra pieces in the universe. Everyone is here because he or she has a place to fill. And every piece must fit itself into the big jigsaw puzzle. And that's so true. There's a quote in the Course in Miracles that says, God is incomplete without me. We all have a place in the universe. We're all divine, we're all holy, and there's a place for everybody. And we need to live from that knowing and that premise. But to understand, the less we open our hearts to others, the more our heart suffers. So back to Thich Nhat Hanh. If you want to be happy and peaceful, love everybody. Sprinkle that fairy dust everybody. So the secret to success, put God first. Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all things will be added unto you. That's the truth, period. So we have to grow. This is Swami Vivekananda. He says we have to grow from the inside out. No one can teach you. No one can make you spiritual. There's no other teacher than our own soul. And I think that's so powerful because, we've gotten so far away from living from soul. It's like give me the next pill, you fix it, shoot me with a chip, do this, do that. And the answer and the Wizard of Oz, it's been with you all along. But Dorothy had to have that experience, right? And surrender Dorothy, when the Wicked Witch painted that in the sky with her broom, surrender Dorothy. That's what we need to do, surrender. And when we do that, there is no wizard that's going to save us. That beautiful wizard behind the curtain was just a cranky old man. And we got to quit looking for that next and latest and greatest savior. It's about us having a relationship with the Spirit of God that dwells within each and every one of us. And Krishnamurti, this quote from him, he says, most of our quarrels throughout the modern world concern possession and non-possession. They are concerned with the acquisition of this and the protection of that. Now, why do we lay such emphasis on possession? We do it because possession gives us power, pleasure, satisfaction. It gives us a certain assurance of individuality and affords us scope for our action and ambition. We lay emphasis on possession because of what we derive from it. But if we become rich in ourselves, then life will flow through us harmoniously. Then possession or poverty will no longer be of great importance to us because we lay emphasis. Then possession or poverty will no longer be of great importance to us because we lay emphasis on possession. We lose the richness of life, whereas if we were complete in ourselves, we would find the intrinsic value of all things and live in the harmony of mind and heart. So in other words, when we become rich in ourselves, seek first the kingdom, then let everything flow to us from there. Krishnamurti had been a spiritual teacher and drew, lots of people. Again, pretty simple guy, had a big following and very wise soul. And he had a lecture and had everyone on the edge of the seat. I've talked about this before. And he said, I got the secret. You want to know my secret? Well, my secret, you really want to know the secret to awakening? And so everybody's like at the edge of the seat, yeah, what is it? And the secret was, I don't mind. Meaning, whatever happens in the world, I don't mind. You just watch it. Interesting. I don't mind. Because, it's just our souls playing out our roles to teach each other and to walk each other home. And some people are playing the bad guy and some people are playing the good guy. But we're all here, doing our jig, eventually with the goal of coming back to our truth in oneness. And all crossing that bridge together, holding our brother's hand and no one exempt to heaven. So the spiritual light, the path of spiritual growth, it's a lifelong practice. It's a moment-to-moment learning. I would say it's more unlearning. Like I said, I used to think I knew a lot more than I do now. And the more I learn, I'm like, I was way off on that. But I do know that when I surrender, Spirit always leads me to exactly what I need to hear, who I need to be with, what I need to do, and so on. So success is not how high we climb, but how we make a positive impact in the world. And I believe that's so hugely important is, am I bringing more light or darkness to the world? Well, there's lots of pain and suffering, struggle in the world. What can we do to bring more light to it? Not more darkness, not more of my thoughts about how it needs to be different and who's doing this wrong and they're doing that. Let us just focus on the love. Let God sort that out. Just be guided, and maybe you'll be inspired to take action in some way, but you're doing it from love, not from the need for this to change for me to be okay, right? So David Icke, of all people, he's a character, very bright British fella who's known a lot of what's going on in this illusion for a long time. Talk about him another day, but I'm going to close with this. And he says that infinite love is the only truth. Everything else is illusion. Pretty much sums it up. So, seek first the kingdom. That's the key to success. I don't mind. Be more kind and loving. Take responsibility for your thoughts. Be your best self. Show up with I was just reading Joe Dispenza this morning, a little quote from him. Greatest way to start our day is thank you, God, right? Thank you, God, for another day. Thank you. The more gratitude we have, that's like a really high vibe. So be grateful for everything. So thanks for tuning in. Appreciate every single person that is here and everyone beyond. Share this if you feel moved to do so. And as always, appreciate all of you, and have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Take care. Be well. Namaste.